Brainstorm's actually just a mediocre cube card.
I mean, without fetch lands, Brainstorm's reasonable. It's the fetch land interaction that makes that card go crazy.
Players will be underway here in just a second. And Island will start things off here for Steve. And here we go. Adam will draw. Copy of Lightning Bolt.
Delver's everywhere here, so we're gonna. In this matchup, I imagine when we've seen these Grixis versus Teamer matchups, whether it's been Twin or Delver or Control, what has seemed to been the case is that the Teamer deck ends up being forced into the aggressive role in this matchup, and that's a lot due to the card Tassiger the Golden Fang out of Grixis.
Yeah. Saw Thought Scour there from Rubin. Turned over another copy of Thought Scour and a young Pyromancer. Will sacrifice Scalding Tarn right now, and we could actually see it as something like a turn 2 Tasker here.
Yeah, you can mill 5 away and get a turn 2 Tassiger.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy, actually.
Black Tarmogoyf.
Yeah.
It's legendary, so you only play 3 instead of 4.
Oh, there's a Blood Crypt.
And those incidental point of damage, they really do add up.
Are we just going to go for Tasker right now? Yep.
Sneak it under the counter magic, and this is an advantage that Steve gets by being on the play.
Yeah.
We did see Todd Anderson yesterday do a good job of defending against Tasker by playing main deck copies of Roast. Now, Adam does not have any of those. If he wants to get Tasker off the board, he does have a main deck copy of Vapor Snag and one of Simic Charm, and both of those could bounce the Tasker, and I doubt Steve would be able to replay it for a couple turns.
Okay. Johnson going to search up a breeding pool there off the Scalding Tarn.
As far as ways to just outright kill the Tassiger, things like Roast, I don't see them in Adam's list.
Huntmaster of the Fells and Scalding Tarn are the cards that are turned over. Delver's Secrets looks to be the draw. He'll untap and take a draw step here for his second turn of the game. But he's under the gun already thanks to that Tassiger.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a beater, but that's very good here. We've seen that in these tempo mirrors, what the getting ahead on the board does is it allows you to use your mana main phase and forces your opponents to leave up mana. I don't think Adam was ready to have to deal with threats this early.
No, I don't think so, but most people aren't ready to deal with the turn 2 Tasker, honestly. And he can already tell, just kind of with the body language, how difficult this game has gotten. Here's a Serum Visions to start.
Yep. So now he's going to be looking for one of those cards, your bounce spells, your snags, your Simic Charms. Simic Charm is an interesting inclusion here, actually. I like it out of the Teamer Delver decks. I think it has a lot of utility.
I can guarantee you no one's going to see it coming. And the 3 modes that card has, it's very rare that you'll expect to play against that. There's an Island. Here's a Delver. You have to imagine it'll be flipping next turn.
Yeah, what I do like in Adam's side is that you see a Hooting Mandrills in his hand. One way he can fight Tasker is he can simply delve his own cards back. Now, Hooting Mandrills does not match up well against Tasker, at least in combat, but it might stop Steve from attacking. You see there's Simic Charm. All of this mode's very good. It's unsummon. It can give all your permanents hexproof, or it's a Giant Growth.
Yep. Delver flips. Spell Snare was the reveal. An attack for 3 in the air. Looks to be on the way.
He's behind in the race, but not horribly behind. Delver flipping there was really a great spot for Adam, and I think because the game is shaping up to be a race here, both players with threats on the board, getting a card like Spell Snare, a card that always costs less than the card it trades with, is the kind of card that Adam wants in his hand.
Steve Metz is going to enter the battlefield untapped. Johnson's going to go down to 11.
2 damage, though. That really hurts.
There's a Tarmogoyf.
We see creature, sorcery, land, instant. So that is already a 4/5. It's good enough to block Tassiger.
Rubin's got some things to think about now. He does have access to Vendilion Click here. There's the Tarmogoyf as a 4/5. Pass the turn back. Here is Vendilion Click. So Rubin's going to start going to the skies. See if this does resolve.
Interested to see if he'll try to remove that Spell Snare out of Adam's hand. See Mana Leak and Remand both in Steve's hand.
We're going to get a Lightning Bolt on the Vendilion Click. with the trigger on the stack. It's going to be targeting Johnson. So there's a Spell Snare. There's a Blood Moon, a Thought Scour, and a Hooting Mandrills.
This is all in Adam's end step. I don't think Steve has another threat. So you may see him pump the brakes a bit. He has a Remand and Mana Leak and some lands to hide behind, as well as Tasigur activations. So if he wants to go on defense, he's going to have to think, what's the biggest threat here? Spell Snare seems problematic, but I would say out of these cards, that said, also Blood Moon is...
Blood Moon puts an interesting wrinkle on the game.
Yeah, I think because Steve knows about Blood Moon now, he can fetch some basics and be okay. I imagine he'll leave that one.
It's, given the lands that are in play, it's actually good against both players.
Yeah.
Spell Snare's going to go to the bottom.
Yeah, you don't want to take Thought Scour because then you're more or less just casting the Thought Scour for Adam.
Yeah.
I don't think the mill matters very much here.
We're going to play a basic Swamp.
All right, so he has black and blue mana even if Blood Moon hits. You see Steve going defensive. Leaves up a Tasigur activation and some of those blue counter spells.
Looks like Spell Snare was the draw for Johnson's turn.
Well, that's not going to help much.
Yep. And Rubin does not know about that as he put the Spell Snare to the bottom a little bit earlier. Snapcaster Mage was the draw off the Vendilion Click Trigger.
Adam would like to commit Hooting Mandrills to the board. He does know that there's probably some counter magic hanging out. At the same time, he doesn't want to delve away too much because he has a 4/5 Tarmogoyf, and keeping that Tarmogoyf at 4/5 is pretty important.
And Johnson's going to look at his options. He'll start by attacking with the Insectile Aberration. Rubin's going to go down to 11, so tie game right now. Let's see what's next here for Johnson. Adam Johnson, a young kid from the Ohio area, actually made the finals of a Standard Open in this room 2 years ago. Here's a Thought Scour. 2 cards in Forest and Delver Secrets get turned over. Misty Rainforest the draw.
It's going to be good. It gets a land for him. It sets up now enough cards in the graveyard that I believe he can go for the Hooting Mandrills if he wants. Now, there will be a Mana Leak and a Remand for him to deal with. But he has drawn, as you mentioned, a Spell Snare, and that might be just fine.
Yep.
Also, he has a copy of Snapcaster Mage, so getting that graveyard full of different targets is pretty good, too.
We'll sacrifice the Misty Rainforest. Johnson's going to go down to 10.
Yeah, he just needs to provide enough pressure here that Steve has to use cards out of his hand and not activate Tasigur.
I think that's important. Doesn't want him to get any cards. Make him use the resources that he has in his hand and still keep attacking and chipping away with the Insectile Aberration in the air. Let's see what we have here. Hooting Mandrills. Gonna have to delve away 4 cards.
Yep, leaving up Spell Snare. Three lands and a creature. So it does not shrink the Tarmogoyf. Steve has a creature for him.
Yep.
And he left 1 land in the yard.
So let's see what Rubin wants to do here.
Mandrill's on the stack. I think it looks like he will go for the Remand first.
That one's going to get snared. Or at least attempt to get snared. Now, things get interesting now because do you Mana Leak the Spell Snare or do you just Mana Leak the Hooting Mandrills?
Well, I believe Steve has another copy of Remand as well.
Okay.
Different art. He has one of them is a Modern Masters Remand, which is why they look different.
Yeah, this is actually an interesting decision if you want to Remand or Leak this. I think the first Remand was an easy decision, but now it's, do I want to Remand this or do I just want to get this away for good? Looks like he wants to let him have it back and Remand it. Maybe just saying I need another card.
Yeah, I think, you know, that maybe the card draw is what tips the scales.
Rubin will draw. So a copy of Seer Visions.
Looks like another Tasigur was picked up. No, Murderous Cut, actually.
That's actually useful.
Different delve spell.
Yeah.
And much better here.
Oh, yeah. Those cards will go to the bottom from the scry. Serum Vision's done resolving.
Now with 4 cards in the graveyard, Steve may start racing back. He can cut the Tarmogoyf and swing the Tasigur.
Yeah, this is interesting how he wants to use the cut. I think he's going to start with Serum Visions, because does he want to cut the flyer or does he want to cut the Tarmogoyf?
Yeah, he has not played a land for the turn, so he does have enough mana to go to use all 3 spells. Serum Visions, Cut, and Mana Leak. But he only has 1 blue mana in play. And I think the land in his hand makes blue.
Yeah, it's a water game, but he has to take 2 to play it untapped, which does
so that's
matter.
not free.
Serum Visions will draw a card, double scry here, Lightning Bolt and X. X is a Mana Leak. Lightning Bolt will stay on top. Leak's going to go to the bottom from the scry.
That seems right in a racing situation. Bolt's great, and Leak is getting worse and worse as we play.
Yep. There's a basic island. That was a draw off the Serum Visions. Here comes Murderous Cut.
These Delve cards so powerful. The fact that Steve can just play 4 cards in 1 turn.
Pretty insane.
It's great.
Tarmogoyf's dead. Tasigur's coming in. Johnson going to go down to 6.
Yeah, and that Lightning Bolt looks like it may swing the race. The fact that Steve got to keep one of them on top. We'll see if Adam can deal with it. But next turn, there is lethal being represented by Steve.
Johnson going to take a look at the graveyard. What's interesting now is how many cards does he want to delve away to play Hooting Mandrills. We saw him last time use 2 mana to cast Hooting Mandrills and delve away 4 cards. He has to be careful not to run into Mana Leak here.
And even if he plays it, Steve may Mana Leak the Mandrills regardless.
Just to tap him out?
Tap him out. It would, yeah. I don't dislike that play. I like that play actually a lot from Steve. It taps out Adam. It means that Steve next turn has Lightning Bolt plus Tasigur activation. It means that if Adam can't really swing with Insectile Aberration, so you have a board suddenly where Adam can't attack. Yeah, well, here's the Mana Leak.
Yeah.
Pay or don't pay, I don't think Steve particularly cares.
Yeah, I like this play a lot. I like your line of thought here. And as a result, I like Steve's line of play a lot here too.
You know, he knows this means Adam can resolve Blood Moon, but Steve has set up a board that's good against Blood Moon, so I don't think that matters. Adam has, and here's the interesting one, is he has a Snapcaster Mage as well. So maybe depending on what he has in his graveyard, there's some Spell Snares and a Bolt.
He'll pay for the leak.
Yep.
There's a Scalding Tarn.
And yeah, so I think what this accomplishes is that it's unlikely that Adam can swing with Insectile Aberration. He just has to pass.
Yeah, this turn's so good for Steve now too, because he's going to draw Lightning Bolt.
He's going to attack.
Oh yeah.
And Adam is going to lose a lot on this attack. He has to double block, and Steve has the answer to the double block.
Yep. So he's set up very, very well. If he doesn't block, he dies.
Right. Adam has made his bet here and is going to have to double block and lose to the Lightning Bolts, which Steve will oblige. He'll bolt away the Delver. Tasigur beats up the Apes.
There's a Water Grave tapped, and now Tasigur activation at the ready.
Great.
Yep. Really good turn.
And all 4 of the cards in Steve's graveyard are reasonable to get back here.
Yeah, Mana Leak probably the worst of the bunch, but still could be okay.
Yeah, I imagine Mana Leak is what he'll get. But that's fine because he's ahead on the board, so there's still a lot of value in Mana Leak.
Johnson going to draw a card. Hand right now is Blood Moon, Snapcaster Mage, and just picked up a copy of Stomping Ground. Snapcaster Mage can target a Lightning Bolt. I believe there's also a Serum Visions down there.
Yeah, well, what are you going to do with Snapcaster Mage is if next turn Steve attacks, Adam can flash Snapcaster Mage into play, give Lightning Bolt flashback, block Tasigur, let Snapcaster die, bolt Tasigur. If Steve allows this, that could work, and he has enough mana to do it through Mana Leak. That said, if Steve just does nothing and sits back with Tasigur, then this isn't any good for Adam either.
Yep. Looks like he may start with Scalding Tarn. Yeah, it's going to go down to at least 5. Would be surprised if it's more than that. Yeah, we get a basic island.
I mean, so he's going to need the mana if he wants to make most of his Snapcaster plays through the mana leak that we assume he'll get.
Yep.
Tasigur, such a power in these matchups, though.
Remember, this came down on turn 2. Here's Snapcaster Mage. It'll be targeting Serum Visions. He's looking for help. Mystery card coming. I believe it was a Misty Rainforest.
Yeah, may have been a Cryptic Command. Either way, it's not help. That play has the most upside in that if he naturally draws something like Vapor Snag, I think it's the best play. He may have
He did draw Vapor Snag.
Oh, it did draw Vapor Snag. Okay.
Here's Tasker activation. Thought Scour and Bloodstained Mire.
And I wonder whether we'll see Tasigur get snagged.
Gonna give him Thought Scour
really
back.
Matter. Yeah.
I believe Lightning Bolt to draw.
That's good.
I believe.
Yes, it was.
Looks like Rubin may want to start with a Thought Scour here.
The fact that Adam doesn't actually have removal for Tasigur is hurting him.
Yeah, it's a huge problem. That's why the roast that Todd was playing, we saw earlier, was so good.
Yeah, we saw situations where Tasigur just did that.
Thought Scour going to target Adam. Turn over a couple of cards. Steve will draw a card off of that.
Interesting. So he doesn't want to mill himself because he doesn't want to put more garbage in the yard for Tasigur. And Threads of Disloyalty was the draw.
All right. May I have your blocker?
I think the answer is going to be yes.
Is that okay?
Adam can't Vapor Snag it.
No, he can't Vapor Snag his own guy because then he goes down to 4, and then he dies to Tasigur.
So yes, Steve gets to have the Snapcaster Mage.
Yep, that goes that way.
He's going to attack. Here's going to be Vapor Snag. I don't think Adam can go to 1 either.
No. Just seems a little too risky.
The players are approaching time here. Adam goes to 1. All right.
Well, Vapor Snag targeting Snapcaster Mage. Oh, there's a Lightning Bolt. That'll take care of it. Steve Rubin's going to win this match here over Adam Johnson, 2-1. Grinsis Delver will take care of Teamer Delver. A little Delver mirror action here in Modern. And Steve Rubin will move on to 8-2. Former Open Series champion, 2-time Open Series champion, actually. And Steve Rubin looking for his first Invitational top 8.